Chris here, coming at you from our little unit in Sydney, Australia, in a building owned by Anglicans and used to house more theological Bible college students. So, the last couple of days, I've been talking about how the Anglicans use social events and social situations to try and manipulate appearances, and they're usually often very insidious, where they're meant to appear to be something like just having fun, but really underneath that, everybody has ulterior motives, and it's not just to have fun. Like, for example, they got together and played a game of circle balls on Monday, and the whole point was to cover up activities on Sunday. See, I talk about that in other videos, but on Sunday they set up a situation where they were trying to instigate me, and they had a whole bunch of Anglicans sitting around, and they were hoping to catch me because of what happened on Saturday. They were hoping to catch me react and speak aggressively to someone, or act in a way that was inappropriate, that they could critique me with, and then hold that against me. And there was a whole bunch of people loitering around and positioned. And one girl, the next door neighbor's wife, even walked up to me and like held her phone camera in my face, like walked up to me, like holding her camera, like, right at me. And I saw the face, and there's nothing on. I saw her camera, there's nothing on there, it's just blank. So she had like a blank cover, so I couldn't see the camera. I don't know, maybe like it was blank. There was no text, or there was no pictures, or there was no camera image or whatever. It was just like a blank screen. So either she was pretending to hold her phone up to me to piss me off, and then everybody sees it when I comment about it, or she was actually recording me. It doesn't matter. It's still manipulation either way. And this has happened since the day we moved in, these kind of manipulations, and they pretend one thing and they act in a certain way to try and instigate you. So they've been playing circle balls lately, a lot lately, like every day this week they played circle balls, and which is maybe another topic for another conversation, but it's a very cult-like thing to do. Get everybody to behave in or act in groups, to congregate in groups, and then peer pressure is more effective. Get everybody to do the same thing all the time on a schedule in groups, and then the peer pressure between those people is stronger, and it's harder to break out of that group and be an individual because you're manipulated by the group, and that is really strong in this organization. Peer pressure is massive in this organization. So after the game of circle balls, oh, I'm sorry about that. That's my phone, or not my phone, my. So after the game of circle balls, turned around and I went back downstairs. And then I went back up later because I heard a kid scream, and I was wondering if they were being supervised. Couldn't hear any adults. So I looked out and I didn't see any adults right away, and then I realized, oh yeah, there he is. An adult's hiding behind the tree playing with his kid in the trampoline. Now the thing is this is the thing. As he's hiding, I looked out the window for a second, and he made direct eye contact with me. So he was looking directly at me. So he was glancing up at the window constantly, and that's always the case here. They're constantly looking at the window to see what I'm doing. So he's looking up at the window from the other building's backyard, which is very close to our building, and he sets up a chair right in this one spot where there's a whole bunch of trees in front of our unit window from that area where he was, but there's this one area where there's like a hole in the tree branches, and he set up his chair specifically so that he could like peek through the hole and see my window where I stand to look out. So there he is. He props up a chair in there. He's looking up like this, and I'm looking over there because I know he's watching me. So I want to see what he's gonna do. So I'm looking over there, and I'm just glancing at him from the corner of my eye, and there's kids playing over there. So he sees me looking at the kids. So what does he do? He reaches in his pocket and he takes out a phone, and then he starts moving up towards me, and then I quickly looked at him because I saw him out of the corner of my eye. I looked at him and I did this, like, hey. He stopped immediately, and he didn't look at his phone. He stopped immediately when I did that, and he put it back in his pocket. So what do you think that means? What do you think that suggests? Well, he saw me looking at the kids. So he wants to take out his camera and then take a picture of me and then say, oh, look at Chris is the dangerous guy. Why is he looking at our kids? That's what they want to do. And they've been doing that since the beginning. As a matter of fact, one day, this guy came and went and got his kid, walked back to my door, and stood in front of my door and pointed on my door like that. Pointed his arm out at my door. Didn't even know the guy. But he was a friend. In the last video I told you about a guy that I confronted and asked if he scratched my car. He was his friend. So you see, it doesn't matter who's telling the truth in this group. It matters who's friends with who. It matters about the loyalty is all about personal gain. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about God. They don't care about the Bible. They care about getting a job, and they care about their groups, and they care about peer pressure, and they care about politics and money. That's it. They don't care about Jesus or doctrine or truth or life or spirituality or whatever you want to call it, or God if you believe in God. They don't care about any of that crap. They just care about themselves and bettering their own cause. So I'm going to show you some pictures here, and hopefully it'll illustrate what I'm talking about. Anyways, bad people. Okay, so here's some of the pictures I was talking about. There's the guy. There's my neighbor. He's the one that proved his solidarity to Foolfully. That's the guy I was intending to, he's right next door to me, and he had his door and window wide open, so I was trying to, when I said to Foolfully, when Foolfully kind of snipped at me through the door, what's that? I whispered something to him because I was hoping he'd respond, because he's a coward, and the only time he ever responds is when his friends are all around. So on Sunday, when all his friends were around, I expected he would say something, and of course he did. Before he closed the door, he said, what's that? Because he heard me say something very quietly, and which gave me an opportunity to say, it's not enough that you have broken into our computers. My implication that there's a whole bunch of other things going on, and nobody pays attention to it. My intention was that this guy here was going to hear it, because he's supposed to be a big, works in a cathedral in Wollongong, and he's supposed to be like, anyways, he's supposed to have had a job there. So I just thought, well, if he had a job already, he must know people. Anyways, no, the next day he just played circle balls with Foolfully. So I guess that's the answer, right? Anyways, that's the little hole I was talking about. So there's the chair. That's how we set up the chair. And you can, as you can see, that's basically the view. So there's this tiny little thing that you can see through the trees, and you can see into my window where I'm standing. Otherwise, you have to go over to the other side of the yard. And so he was sitting here in this chair, and this is when he pulled out his pocket, pulled out his phone from his pocket, and this is when I waved out of my window, and he immediately put his phone back into his pocket. So yeah. Anyways, that's where the phone was. As you can see, it's see, like he was sitting right there and looking through the trees here, looking to see right there. See how all the trees are? Well, he specifically put the chair there, and he's playing with his kid in the trampoline, but he specifically put the chair there, and he was leaning over here, and I saw his hand with the phone, and as soon as I waved at him, he put his phone away. So obviously he's watching our window. I watched him after that, and he spent the entire time glancing at my window constantly, glancing at my window to see what I'm doing. The whole intent is that they want to catch me doing something or looking then they can say, well, he looks at our kids, we feel really uncomfortable with him, he's a troublemaker, blah blah blah. So it's all false. All of it is false and outlandish and ridiculous, but they're liars, and they create myths, and then they fabricate realities around it to justify their lies. It's ridiculous because they want to get their own way. What's their way? Well, they want to get rid of us because I caught them in crimes. And now I'm talking about it on YouTube, and they know it. What's the crimes? Well, illegal breaking and entry into computers, and they're using a nasty, wicked computer attack that nobody seems to know about. I call it Incenra, and I think they learned it from the government, from their government friends. So it's a pretty heap. It's a big heap of nasty pile here, and nobody wants to talk about it, and everybody wants to keep it a secret, but it's extremely dangerous. Hey, okay, so let's look at some more pictures here. So anyways, sorry about this, it's gonna click out. Anyway, this guy here, let's call him Bagalint. There's the date there, it's 2014. So even though this is 2014, it's 2 years ago, nothing has changed, and this behavior of these people continues to stay the same all the time. So here he is, he's walking by, he's a student, so he's walking by my unit door. There's our unit door right here. There's the sidewalk to our unit door. He walks by, and see, this is what I mean by people standing out front of our door. And there's the windows right here, and they loiter around here, and you can hear everything. It's only like it's less than a meter into our unit, and this is going to be really annoying. I'm really sorry about this, but it's less than a meter into our unit, so you can really hear everything when you walk by there. So here he walks by, and he continues, and then he continues on, and there the time on the bottom is 12:25. So he walks by, and then he goes to his friend's place, and then 2 minutes later he returns with this kid, and he points at our door. That's our unit door that he's pointing to. He points at our door, and there's this little kid. So he points at our door, and then he just stands there saying something, and he's a real prick, just like his friend that's in Indonesia teaching or planting churches now. So he points at my door. I've never met this guy. I have no idea who he is, and yet here he is standing in front of my unit pointing at my door. This is what I mean about bullying and intimidation. And I have to flick it back and forth like this, otherwise it's gonna time out. I don't know how to fix it. So they do that. They intimidate, and they get their friends to bully up on you like that, and they even involve their kids. Talk about eating their kids. Like what's that Jonathan Swift writer said? Eating their children. I think Jonathan Swift wrote that the rich eat their young. And here, this bastard here, he has no idea who I am, but he has allegiance to the Anglican Church, and he's going to Bible college, so he makes me into this villain. So there's the time on the bottom at 12:27. I don't. So did he see the camera? Because look what happens next. He leaves his kid there at 12:27, and his kid sits there by herself for like several seconds. He just runs off and leaves his kid in front of our unit. So I mean, I have no idea what these people are all about. They're pretty insane, but one thing for certain is nothing changes, and they're constantly attacking, and they're constantly creating issues, and they're constantly lying and creating myths where no truth exists. So what happens if this person starts saying lies about me? Like what happens if he starts making me look like, hate to say the word, but like an abuser or a sex offender or a pedophile? What happens if they start that rumor? It's not the truth. Nothing ever happened to even suggest that, except that they don't like me and they don't want me here. So there he is, and this happens all the time. I showed him his friends, and they denied who it was, and then they said, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's right, that's who it is," and then I asked them why he did that, and there's some birds there, and I asked them why he did it, and they said, well, maybe he was just looking at a pretty picture on the door or a pretty flower. There's no flowers there. They're just making excuses because he's their friend, and that's the thing with this organization. They're all criminals, but they commit crimes and nothing ever happens because their friends stand up for them. And it goes on and on and on and on and on, and they just keep on abusing people, and I'm sure this is happening all over the place. I'm sure I'm not the only one they're doing this to. There he is, pointing at my unit with his little kid, and then he leaves his kid there. What a douchebag. Okay, so as you can see, that's pretty blatant and pretty shameless, and that was in the middle of the day. And he came walking up to my unit like that and pointed with his kid. Now, what's he implying? Is he implying that I'm a pedophile? Is he implying that I'm a bad man? Is he implying telling his daughter to stay away from me? All of these things are lies. I don't even engage with these people. I don't want to talk to them, and I never did. Well, when I first came here, I tried to make friends and I tried to be open until I realized they were coming into my house and breaking into our computers. So, yeah, that's the thing. And the lies, the implication, the lies, the insinuations. Oh, I never said that. Oh, but you insinuated, you implied, you pointed. What did you say? Or are you just doing that for the camera so that I start talking? Either way, if you do that for the camera's sake and you're saying, oh, look at the pretty door, you're using your kid. That's completely immoral. Are you eating your kid like Jonathan Swift wrote about? The rich eating their children? Is that what you're doing? Using your kids to benefit your own agenda, you douchebag? Is that what you're doing? Is that what Jesus taught in the Bible? Douchebag. You're pathetic. You're worse than a douchebag. At least douchebag has a purpose, you fat belligerent bag of lint. So why did this guy do it? Is it to look like a certain thing and get me going and get me all upset so I run out the door and start screaming like a freaking idiot? That's a manipulation too. I didn't know the Bible taught about manipulation. Oh, is this new dogma for new modern times? What, are you going to rewrite the Bible? Doesn't it say in the Bible, woe to that, not a single letter, not a single character will be changed? And yet here you are changing the meaning of the scripture because, is that what you're doing? That this is your new doctrine? This is your new rhetoric? It's okay to bully up on people as long as you're getting your own way, as long as you're serving your own purpose. Yeah. Anyways, these type of activities happen all the time, and they've happened, since the day we've moved in, and it never ceases. And like I said, just today, the kind of a very similar activity. That guy is sitting on his chair, pulls his phone out to try and get a picture of me in my window. It's exactly the same thing. And that was 2 years ago. Nothing's changed. They just replace the old players. The people graduate or they move on, and then they get another set of douchebags in here. They indoctrinate them. They tell them what to think and what to do, and they come in here and it's the same old role all over again. Nothing's changed. So the whole system is extremely corrupt, and the people are corrupt, and I've yet to meet a decent person among any of these, and every single person I meet just makes it harder for me to think that there is any honesty or sincerity in this group of people that are placed in this building. And I say placed because it seems like they're all cut from the same cloth, that they're placed here for a purpose. The Anglican Church wants this building. The property manager wants this building, and the Anglican Church wants this building, and they're going to do anything they can to get it. And they have units behind there too, which is another topic for another day. But there you go. Guy pointing at my door. Guy sitting in a chair with his getting his camera out, ready to point it at my window. People following you all around all the time, watching your every move, listening to your every word, standing outside your unit, listening to you talk. Yeah. Anglicans, Presbyterians, Baptists. Yeah, I didn't know Jesus taught about all this stuff in the Bible. I don't know what book these are reading. I don't know what book these people are reading, but I don't think they're studying the Bible.